Okay, so this is a quick overview of the ChatBotKit platform. I will take you through all the steps and all the components that we have within the platform and briefly describe what it is and what basically ChatBotKit allows you to do. So the summary is that ChatBotKit is a conversational AI platform, and our scope essentially boils down to providing the fundamental block on which you can build conversational AI experiences. And this includes multiple things. We manage various aspects of the conversation flow, such as when the customer creates conversations, when they interact with their subsystems, how they handle authentication, how do we actually continue the session, how do we transfer the session, how do we associate the session with contacts, which essentially is the user entity. And this is done in a unified way across every single messaging platform that we support, as well as with, and of course, this can be used by the API. We're going to skip for now the interaction section here, which is effectively the result of the work of ChatBotKit. And we're going to focus for now in the resources section. And so on the top of the list, we have something called bots. So the bot is the fundamental block, which underpins pretty much everything that the platform can do. It has various configuration options. You can specify the name, the description, and the most important part is the backstory, which is effectively the prompt that is given to the bot to be able to do certain things. The bots can be associated with a number of resources. We have something called a data set and a skill set. And the data set is essentially an information repository which contains records of various types. And the skill set is like a tool belt where you can attach different abilities, right? So different types of things that the bot will be able to do. This could be anything from also doing some kind of retrieval, like pulling data from the internet, searching the internet, generating images, interfacing with various systems like Notion or any third-party system. We have support for HubSpot and so on and so forth, and I'll cover this in a second. And of course, we have a number of advanced options here that we can configure. The bot itself is associated with our default model, but you can actually choose from a number of other models that we have at the moment at your disposal, and we have a lot of them, including custom models. Anything from the big six we support, so anything from AWS, Anthropic, OpenAI, DeepSeek. We have some private DeepSeek deployments, anything from Grok, anything from Facebook. We support that. And also you can configure certain things such as the privacy and moderation. The privacy is an interesting feature where we modify and we strip away personal identifiable data before that's being sent either to the model or saved in the database. So this might be useful when you are operating with the sensitive data. And the moderation is a feature which allows us to monitor the conversation for any abusive language or harmful messages, any sort of intent for self-harm. This is a feature that also can be, which means that if the customer, for example, expresses intention of self-harm, we can flag that message. We can send an email. You can receive a webhook about. But basically, we can flag it in front of you so that it can be dealt with separately. I'm going to create one bot here just so that we can use it at the later stage. The backstory that's the most important bit here. You can modify it as you see fit. It's more of an art than a science, so it takes a bit of practice to create backstories. But we have also created a wizard, the backstory magic, which you can use to generate the backstory. So you can provide like a little bit of input in terms of what you want to achieve, and then if you click on the magic button, that will generate effectively the backstory for you. And I just did this as an example here. We can just use it, and as you can see, it's a little bit different because we used the main backstory. Pretty much you can use this as a way to quickly get started. From the screen, you can access all the other resources like datasets, skill sets, widgets, conversations, and so on. You can grab the bot ID. This might come handy in various situations. And of course, this screen is available when we create all the other resources. The second type of resource is the dataset. And as I said, the dataset is a repository of information. Again, we can specify the name and the description. There's all kinds of options. Our platform, ChatBotKit, is all about optionality. So we provide all kinds of options that you can customize. And essentially, the backing of the data set can be in three different types of data source. We have Loom, Sprout, and Lingo Sprout. So they have different pluses and minuses, and they have a description of how those work. You can specify the region where you want the data to be. Also, there's options in terms of what rerouter you want to choose, how you want to split the records, what's the most appropriate sizing of those records. This is only useful when you're importing data. It's not so much useful when you're creating the data set manually. Some aspects in terms of the filtering and how you want to do it. And so there's all kinds of options here that goes into making a data set. Once you are happy with everything that you select, you can create a data set. You can change all the settings even after the data set is collected, except for the store. The store is something that can only change because that's the underlying storage. And also that kind of dictates also where the data is stored in those locality. Inside the dataset, we can attach files. This is simply from the UI. Obviously, can be done via the API. There's many different ways you can create those records. I'll show you how to create them manually. I can just type test here and just create, and that will create a record. The record itself, we can also create those records by providing files. We just simply drag or click on this button here. The datasets can have a number of implications. I'll cover them in a second, but also we can actually test the dataset in a chat setting. This is the configuration for that chat at the moment, and we're using a specific model which is called text keyword questions and answers 004. And we can chat with that dataset, or we can also search the dataset. And so all these properties that we specify to this dataset, such as the record size, how we want to reroute the data, and so on and so forth, that actually plays a big part here. And the dataset can be exported. You can also quickly edit some of the records that are inside the dataset. So we provide all this needs. And also in this screen here, we can see some metadata, such as any additional information, such as where the data come from. We record all kinds of information depending on the data type. And of course, the events associated with that. At the moment, because we're operating in a blank account, there's no events, but anytime something from our system is using the data, so for example, pulling data records or searching it or adding anything, that information will get recorded as events. And those events are available via the UI. You can also get them via the API. And there's also means for us to send that information in your own logging system if you prefer to do so. The skill set is actually one of the most powerful features that we have in the platform, and that is it doesn't have configuration options when you create a skill set, but the most interesting bit about the skill set is you can create abilities. And I'll go ahead and create an ability inside so I can show you how it looks like. The ability has a name and description, and the instruction can be any text basically describing what you want to do. So you could say things like generate an image, or can you fetch me the latest reports from Zendesk, or whatever. And our system will automatically translate that instruction to an equivalent procedural instruction, which will be able to fulfill that task. There's also some ways to actually define this specifically, because like a format, you can specify exactly what you want to do. So you don't need to leave it to be as fuzzy as we describe it. And we provide some documentation how to do that. And of course, also we have a bit of a cheat sheet here so you can actually have a look at them. The ability can be associated with something called secrets. I'll give more information about that in a second. And also can be associated with bots. And this is not to be confused with when the skill set is connected to a bot, but that's something that plays like a quite important role. And I'll give more information about that. Like the other places, you can generate that magic. So if I say something like, you can generate that instruction. So if I say, let's say, pull the latest tickets from Zendesk, now click generate, that will generate basically the instruction to fulfill that request or that instruction. And as you can see here, it's a sort of HTTP request, which we define. And there's a few things here that we need to modify, like for example, the domain. Maybe we need to change the secret ID or the tag. However, although you can configure it yourself, and again, there's a support documentation how to do that, and we can also help you do that. You can also use some of our templates. We have a growing list of templates that you can use to perform all kinds of actions on many different types of systems, from Google, Slack, Discord, Reddit, different types of CRM systems like HubSpot and so on. So there's a lot of things. when you use those templates, let me show you, like, for example, this is a template called create Gmail draft template. It has a slightly different syntax. Basically, inside, we define the template name and also some parameters. There's a meaning to what this area highlight means. This is described, but essentially that is something that goes directly into the bot. There's a hint of what kind of information needs to be present within the context of the conversation in order to fulfill that requirement or that specific ability. I will show you a little bit more on that a little later, which will probably make a lot more sense when we reach the blueprint section. And we have also a lot of integrations. In terms of ChatBotKit, what we mean by integration is when we connect to another system, mostly to interface with another messaging platform. So we support Slack, Discord, WhatsApp, Messenger, Telegram. You can also create email bots, which means that you can create a bot that can receive emails and can answer those. You can create also event-based type of integrations where it's called to trigger. So you can imagine that if you receive events both Stripe or some other system, you might want to process them in some kind of agentic way. So you can use that sort of the trigger system. And we also have specific types of importers from Notion, from a website, and also some auxiliary integrations like the ability to summarize a conversation, send it off to your support system, or the ability to extract some information and essentially track data, whatever that is. I'm not going to touch this a lot. Maybe I'll just show you the widget because it's a simpler, it's all simple. One of the default ones that most people use, which is the widget. You can connect it to a bot and you can then customize how the widget looks. There's actually screen here where you can change the various settings, different types of teams and so on. And you can also save it. And once you save it, you can also install it in your website and even test it if you want to see how it looks. So this is like a test area. We have all kinds of ways this widget can be effectively customized and extended. And we actually provide a lot of examples here in the example section of the website, where you can see some of these customizations. So for example, this is one team developed for the widget. You can, if you like it, you can copy it. We have many others here. So if I, for example, this is an example of how we support this type of interfaces. And we actually have many different similar extensions to the widget where you don't need to you can create a very advanced UI. The widgets support by default many things, from this type of experiences, mathematical formulas, all kinds of essentially rendering systems to be able to present the information that is available to the agent or the bot in the most presentable way. So it's extensible, and we support this out of the box. And of course, there's many different configuration options that you can choose from. Whether you want attachments, whether you want to contact contacts, whether you want to provide different types of visibilities, abilities, whether you want to have a voice in and out, and so on. So this is all inside. I'm going to skip for now the concept of files, because this is something comes in handy when you're working with data. You can save that data in file and essentially sync the file. That's the main reason for the file. And also you can use files as a sort of like a storage system for when your bots or agents are interacting with the user, or when you want to store some assets like pictures and things like that. The one of the fundamental pieces, and you'll see how everything comes together, is also use of a secret. The secret is essentially you can set it in many different ways. There's different types like shared and personal. Shared secret is something that everybody can use, and a personal secret is something that I authenticate myself. We support out of the box all types of authentication schemas like basic, barrier, OAuth, and we also have some templates that are already available. So when you use a template, we already have described within the system how, for example, Google Authentication Docker for Gmail, how they look like. So what are the right scopes? What are the right URLs? So that's basically part. And you can use that authenticated with your own credentials, whether those are personal credentials from the user, or whether you want to have a full control and create like your own open auth client on your side, and you can configure that in and just use it for authentication purposes. Everything comes together. As you can see, there's a lot of things, and it's like a Lego. There's a lot of things that you can do, and everything comes together when you start using what we call blueprints. And the blueprint is effectively a system that allows us to compose all of these elements in one single area. And we can obviously compose them outside of the blueprint. We can use the UI or we can use an API to do that. But if you want to have bird eye, like an eagle eye look of all the resources that we have within the platform, we can use the blueprint to do that. And when I open the blueprint, I can start from a blank document or I can start from a good place. So let me show you this one. I'll just click one of the examples. And so in these examples here, we have a system, which is an assistant of sorts, which can be automated, but also you can expose it to your customers by Slack or some other messaging platform or our widget. And the system actually deals with, or this agent deals with email and Google email. So we have the Google email token here, which is currently set to personal. This means that when the user interacts with the system or with the agent, they will be asked to authenticate if they haven't done so. And this is connected to all these abilities, which we can see here. Each ability is effectively represented as a box, and that is connected to the skill set, which is a tool belt, and that's connected to the box, right? I can extend this very quickly by adding an additional thing. So if I want to have an ability to, for example, transcribe our audio, I'll just drag it in here, and that's basically is now part of this. Now, this is the amazing thing about this is that if, for example, I receive an email and the email contains an audio file, and it's part of the task is to understand what's inside the audio file, that's already configured. So there's nothing else that anybody needs to do. We have to take that data or do any processing of it. We're the ones who will be able to do that underneath automatically. And just like that, we extended the abilities for the bot. So we have a lot of this stuff here. For example, maybe I want the bot to be able to interface with HubSpot. And so I can drag this one, which is the HubSpot CRM. And this one has a separate token for the HubSpot CRM. And for some of these abilities, we're not just simply mapping the external APIs that are available via HubSpot. We actually extend them and we provide additional features that are missing or they're simply not available. One such example is the HubSpot SQL query ability, which is actually a bespoke system that we have developed specifically for HubSpot, but also for other providers. We call this AI SQL. And essentially, we boil down most of the query operations within a specific third-party system to simple create, read, update, and delete operations. That actually significantly simplifies the access to those systems and also makes it more performant, more cost-effective when you have a lot of traffic and a lot of use. And so that's one way we help our customers essentially creating powerful solutions. The blueprint can be used to build many different solutions. So not just you don't need to just focus on one blueprint. You can actually create one bot. You can actually create many different bots. So if I paste this, I can show you here quickly. I was able to create a copy of the bot that I already have here, or the agent that I have here. And this is another agent. Yes, it is true. It's a little bit the same as the other, but the whole point is that I can just grab and delete the parts that I don't want. And we're going to create like a specific agent that focuses only on HubSpot. So this could be our HubSpot agent. Agent is only responsible for HubSpot. And this will be our email agent, which will be only responsible for email. And both of them can interface with each other in various ways. And this is done by other abilities that we have here. So we have, for example, call bot, which I can drag in. And as you can see, it's already connected. I can simply connect it to the other bot that I want to connect with. And now, from this perspective, I have a very simple agent that can interface with the HubSpot CRM, but also it can interface with the email agent. So the use case could be here that this CRM agent needs to do some research on the user's inbox in order to perform that action. So in order to do that, it will simply invoke the email agent here, perform that action, and for the rest, it will use its own abilities for that. So you can build many different systems like that, and you can connect them in a cool way. Let me drag this down. Mess. But you can create like a many different systems like that, and you can reuse different components from different places and essentially build like a multi-agent type of a system. Now, you can perform many different type of tasks within the same thing. The whole thing, the whole blueprint can be, you can save it. You can also export it as a document, as a file. That file, you can save a repository in a code repository. You can use that file to instantiate other setups for other people easily. So that's something that can be replicated over and over again within the same account or sub accounts. And we have that concept of sub account, which I'm going to cover next. So I'm going to just exit from here. But the whole point is that you can essentially copy paste stuff from different blueprints. You can also export everything into files. You can save those files. You can port the files via drag and dropping inside the blueprint designer, and that will create the resources that you need for your own solution. So it's very flexible like this. The key component, we have actually other things here which I'm not going to cover during this session, which is something called portals and developer resources. But what I want to cover is the so-called sub accounts. And this is very important because when you're creating your own solutions, you might want to partition various parts of your solution into sub accounts. And a sub account is effectively an account that exists within your main account. It can be used for project management purposes, but also you can use it as means to provide isolated resources to your own customers. So if you already have customers that they need to build or they need to use their own resources, rather than putting all these resources within one ChatBotKit account, you can create a sub account for that customer. And again, that can be done with the API. Oops. Actually, the reason I cannot create a sub account is because I'm already in a sub account. So we don't allow a sub of a sub account yet. But this is a list, so you can see here from my angle, I've actually switched off from one account. This in my top account, I have many sub accounts, and I use this one for testing purposes, which is called clean. And let me quickly show you the difference. So I'm going to switch inside that account, and you will see inside the resources that I've just created. So this is one of the bots that I just created. So if I switch out from the clean account and create a new account, so I'm not going to give it any name, so I'm going to switch into it. As you can see, this account is completely empty. It's a brand new account. And so this means also in terms of usage, this account has 0. So because it's a brand new, it has no usage whatsoever. If I switch out of that account and I go back to my master account, if I to another sub account like this one, the clean one, and I go to usage, as you can see, this account caching issue, but this account is effectively having a different usage. And the idea here is that the sub account concept is not just about isolation of resources, but also it's about tracking. If you have customers and you want to use ChatBotKit resources per customer basis, all of them can have their own sub account. And that also gives you the ability to understand what's their usage, what's the limit, and set up custom limits as well, and all kinds of other things that basically make a great experience, and you can provide that information to them automatically. So all the APIs that we provide, which are available at the master account level, effectively can be used at a sub account level by specifying which sub account you want to use when you're performing that request. So it's basically, you can do that kind of like a context switch within the account level to do that. And that's essentially is how everything works in terms of the different resources that we have at ChatBotKit. We have a number of examples that you can try and see, use and copy. So we have anything from number of blueprint, like for example, this is the Gmail classification agent. We have many different types of agents here that you can copy. Also, we have a lot of examples which show you how either the widget or various aspects of the system can be used. So this is like appointment booking, which demonstrates various aspects of the widget and how it interacts with third-party systems. This is an example of a widget, for example, that shows that math formulas and kind of things, mathematical expressions are fully supported. This is a custom type of rendering we essentially do, and this is designed not only just to render, but also to work in a sort of like the streaming configuration. So when you're generating the resources out, generating tokens automatically from the agent. And, the list goes on and on. There's all kinds of examples, widgets, themes, and effectively we're sending out this over and over again. And you can also try it here to see how it works and so on. There is also an active community, which we call the Hub. The Hub actually contains the resources and things that are published by other people. And you can see how those work. And if you decide, you can clone it, and of course, extend that work or contribute to the community. So I hope you enjoyed this brief overview of how the platform works. And if you have any questions, feel free to let us know. Thank you so much.